Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to today's session. So for the NPS Grade A and Grade B, we have launched the revision series for all of you, for your practice, for your revision, so that your revision is done in a good manner, so that you practice the different MCQs to know the level of MCQs that can come in the examination and to know that where you are lacking and where you are doing good. Okay, so this is very important series for all of you which EduTap has launched, where we are going to discuss the MCQs of economics. So for 3 days at 4 p.m. there will be the MCQs that we will be discussing for economics for 3 days, for today, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and after that the management, finance, commerce and accountancy, and for different subjects we are going to bring the MCQs for your revision. Okay, so this is going to help you a lot for your revision, for your practice. I hope you all are with me, and if I'm clearly audible and visible, give me a thumbs up if I'm clearly audible and visible. And I hope you are excited and you all are ready for the MCQs, and I hope you will be able to give the right answer for many of the questions. Okay, so before moving ahead, before starting with the first question, first of all, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap so that you continue getting these relevant videos, and do join our Telegram channel, because in the Telegram channel you will get the PDF of the session, and the link for the Telegram channel is provided in the description box below. Okay, so I hope I am clearly audible and visible. Okay, so let's start with the first question. So this is the first question. Read the question carefully and try to answer the question. So which of the following shows the condition where the quantity demanded is less than the quantity supplied in the market? So you have to tell that which of the following shows the condition where the quantity demanded is less than the quantity supplied. So just by seeing this, you might be able to answer that, okay, there is excess supply that is happening, there is too much supply as compared to the demand. So there is excess supply. But excess supply with current prices above the equilibrium level or lower the equilibrium level. So which should be the answer? The C or D. So excess supply with price above the equilibrium level or below. So here you can draw the diagram that this is the demand and this is the supply curve. Here we have the price and here we have the quantity. Okay, so demand curve is downward sloping. Demand curve is downward sloping because it has inverse relationship with price. As the price is increasing, demand must be decreasing. Supply is upward sloping because it has positive relation with price. As the price is increasing, supply will also be increasing. So now demand is less. At this point you can understand demand is less as compared to the supply. So supply is more than the demand. So we have excess supply and the price is above the equilibrium level. Equilibrium level is where the demand is equal to supply. So price is above the equilibrium level. So yes, absolutely correct. The C is the right answer here, that excess supply with current price above the equilibrium level. So this is excess supply where the supply is greater than the demand. Okay, and the price is above the equilibrium level. Where the demand is more than the supply, there we have the excess demand and the prices are below the equilibrium level. Okay, and the equilibrium is always where the demand is equal to supply. Now coming to the second question, try to read the question very carefully and try to answer this question, that the consumer purchased 8 units of a commodity. So the quantity purchased is 8 units when its price was 5 per unit. The price was 5 per unit. He purchased. Now as the price has decreased from 5 to 4, he purchased 12 units. Okay, so this is given to you. Now you have to find that what is the price elasticity of demand. What is the price elasticity of demand? I hope you know that the price elasticity of demand shows the responsiveness. It shows the responsiveness of the demand with respect to the changes in price. So as the price is changing, with the change in price, the responsiveness of demand is shown by the price elasticity of demand. So if there is a percentage change in price, so with the change that is coming in price, what is the percentage change in demand? That is shown by the price elasticity of demand. And the price elasticity of demand is always like, it has a negative sign, because if the price is increasing, demand must be decreasing. If the price is decreasing, demand must be increasing. Okay, so price elasticity of demand has a formula, that is change in quantity demanded divided by the quantity demanded multiplied by price divided by change in price. Okay, so this is the formula of price elasticity of demand. Now try to answer this question. So first of all, let's put the values in the formula. So price elasticity of demand has the formula change in quantity demanded divided by quantity demanded multiplied by price divided by change in price. So what is change in quantity demanded? The change is of 4 units. Original quantity demanded is 8 multiplied by original price is 5, original or the previous price is 5, and change in price is by 1. So here the answer will be, the price elasticity of demand will be 2.5. The price elasticity of demand will be 2.5. So that is greater than 1. So if price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, that means it is highly elastic, greater than 1 but less than infinity. So I hope this is clear. So here the answer is E. So here the answer is E. Okay. So basically the formula of price elasticity of demand is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So percentage change in quantity demanded is actually change in quantity demanded divided by original quantity demanded multiplied by 100 divided by percentage change in price. Percentage change in price. So percentage change in price is change in price divided by original price multiplied by 100. So this is equal to change in quantity demanded divided by quantity demanded multiplied by price divided by change in price. So this is the formula of price elasticity of demand. So this is the formula of price elasticity of demand. Okay, and here we have a negative sign. This negative sign is just to show the inverse relationship between the quantity demanded and the price. If price is increasing, demand must be decreasing. If price is decreasing, demand must be increasing. So this is the formula. Okay, so this is the formula. And if you put the values in the formula, you will get the answer 2.5, that is highly elastic. So if the basically if the price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, that means there is more elasticity. That is, if the price is changing, with the change in price, there is more change in demand that is coming. Okay, so price elasticity of demand, if it is greater than 1, that means elastic demand is there. If the price is changing, with that the quantity demanded is changing by more. If the price elasticity of demand is less than 1, so this is what? Tell me very fast, this is what? If the price elasticity of demand is less than 1, this is perfectly elastic, elastic, inelastic, perfectly inelastic, or unitary inelastic. So price elasticity of demand is less than 1 but greater than 0. So we can say it is inelastic demand. Inelastic demand. If price elasticity of demand is equal to 1, this is unitary elastic demand. Okay. If price elasticity of demand is equal to infinity, if price elasticity of demand is equal to infinity, that means demand can change by infinite amounts or the demand can change by a lot. So that is perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic demand curve. Okay. If the price elasticity of demand is equal to 0, if the price elasticity of demand is equal to 0, that means the demand will not change at all. The demand will not change at all. So this is perfectly inelastic. This is perfectly inelastic. Okay. So remember this, if the demand cannot change at all with any change in price, so that is perfectly inelastic. And if the demand can change by a lot, by infinite amounts, so that is perfectly elastic. If the price, with the change in price, the demand is changing very slightly only, so that is price elasticity of demand is less than 1. If with the change in price, demand is changing by a lot, so price elasticity of demand is more than 1. If price elasticity of demand is equal to 1, that means with the change in price, the demand is also changing by same proportion, so that is unitary elastic demand. Okay. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question, that if the petrol and car are dash, the drop in the price of petrol. If the price of petrol is decreasing, if the price of petrol is decreasing, if the price of petrol is decreasing, what will happen to the demand curve of the car? What will happen to the demand curve of car? So the price of car is same, but what will happen to the demand curve of car? Try to answer this question. So demand curve of car will so see, first of all, the petrol and car, they are complements. They complement each other. They are complement to each other. Okay. So the petrol and car, they are complements. The drop in the price of petrol, if the price of petrol is decreasing, then the demand of cars. So if the petrol is getting cheaper, people will demand more vehicles, they will demand more cars. So at the same price of car, the demand of car is increasing. The demand of car is increasing. So the demand curve of car will shift rightwards, So here, first of all, petrol and car, they both are complements. They both are complementary goods. And if the price of the petrol is decreasing, the demand for car will increase. So this is the basic idea. So demand curve will shift rightwards or leftwards depending upon various factors. So at the same price, let's say income has increased. If your income is increasing, so your demand curve will shift rightwards or leftwards. Anyone? Your demand curve will shift rightwards or leftwards. At the same price, if your income has increased, your demand will increase. At the same price, the demand will increase. Before you were demanding 100 quantity, now you will demand 110 quantity, let's say. So at the same price, your demand is increasing because of income that has increased. So there is rightward shift in demand curve. Okay. If the preference has improved, so at the same price, let's say you start preferring, or the people in the country, they start preferring this particular good. So demand curve will shift rightwards. Population is increasing, so demand curve will shift rightwards. Or if the price of complement is falling, that is, if the price of petrol is falling, then the demand for car will increase. So if the price of complementary good is falling, let's say the price of tea is decreasing, so the demand for milk will increase. The price for tea leaves is decreasing, so demand for milk might increase. Okay. So this is the idea that price of complement is falling. If the price of substitute is rising, let's say substitute good is Coke. Right now we are talking about the demand for Pepsi. So if the price of Coke is increasing, the demand for Pepsi will rise. If Coke is becoming more expensive, if Sprite or Mirinda, they are becoming more expensive, you will shift to Pepsi and you will start drinking Pepsi rather than Mirinda, rather than Sprite and such. So the demand for Pepsi will increase. So if the price of substitutes are rising, the demand for the commodity will increase. Okay. So this is the basic idea. Now there is leftward shift in demand curve if the income is falling, if the population is falling, if the taste is decreasing at the same price, the demand will decrease because of these factors. Or if the petrol prices are increasing, the demand of car will decrease. So if the price of complement is increasing, the demand will fall at the same price. Okay. So if the petrol prices are increasing, the demand for car will fall at the same price of car. At the same price of car, the demand for car will fall. So this is the basic idea. I hope you are aware about this. Now coming to the next question, but before going to that, cross-elasticity of demand. So the cross-elasticity of demand has the formula: percentage change in quantity demanded of X with the percentage change in price of Y. So if the price of petrol is changing, with that how the quantity demanded of car is changing. If the price of, let's say, Sprite is increasing, so demand for Pepsi is going to increase. If the price of tea leaves is increasing, the demand for coffee is going to increase because tea leaves are expensive, so you will shift to coffee. Okay. So you can understand that if the price of Sprite is increasing, the demand for Pepsi is increasing. Now if the price of petrol is increasing, the demand for car will fall. The demand for car will fall, and if the price of petrol is decreasing, the demand of car will increase. So the complementary goods, they have an inverse relationship. If the price of petrol is increasing, the demand of car will decrease. If the price of petrol is falling, the demand for car will increase. Okay, so the complementary goods, they have inverse relationship. If the price of milk is increasing, the demand for tea leaves will decrease. So they have inverse relationship. So complementary goods, they have inverse relationship. That's why there is downward sloping curve for complementary goods. If we are talking about price of petrol and demand of car. Okay, price of petrol and demand for car. Now coming to the curve where substitute goods are there. So let's say price of Sprite and demand for Pepsi. So if the price of Sprite is increasing, the demand for Pepsi will increase. So they have a positive relationship. The price of a good and the quantity of another good, in case of substitute goods, they have positive relationship. If the price of tea leaves is increasing, the demand for coffee will increase. So this is the basic idea. Okay, so I hope this is clear that for complementary goods there is inverse relationship in between price and demand of the two goods. In case of substitute goods, there is positive relationship in between price and quantity of the two goods. If the price is increasing of one good, the quantity demanded of the other good will increase in case of substitute goods. Okay, now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Public transportation is considered inferior to the private vehicle. So public transportation is considered inferior to the private vehicle. So the public transportation has dash price elasticity of demand and dash income elasticity of demand. So basically, if we talk about the normal goods, so there are normal goods like the brown bread. Now the white bread is considered inferior good as compared to the brown bread. The white bread is considered inferior to the brown bread. So you have the normal good, that is brown bread, inferior good, that is white bread. So white bread is inferior. Now for the normal goods, there is negative price elasticity of demand, because if the price of brown bread is increasing, the demand for brown bread will decrease. If the price of brown bread is decreasing, the demand of brown bread will increase. So there is inverse relationship, and that's why there is a negative price elasticity of demand for normal goods. Now there is positive income elasticity of demand for the normal goods, because if the income is increasing, you will buy more of the brown bread rather than white bread. Okay, so if your income is increasing, you will buy more of the brown bread. For the inferior goods, you can understand that they have negative price elasticity of demand, because if the price of white bread is increasing, you will buy less of white bread. So they also have negative price elasticity of demand, but they have negative income elasticity of demand also. They have negative income elasticity of demand. If your income is increasing, you will decrease the demand of white bread, because if your income is increasing, you will want to buy more of the brown bread, which is considered healthier alternative of the white bread. Okay, so for the inferior good like the public transportation is considered as inferior good, they have negative price elasticity of demand, because if the price is increasing, the demand for public transportation will decrease. So they have negative price elasticity of demand, as well as they also have negative income elasticity of demand, because if your income is increasing, you will shift to the private transportation. Okay, if your income is increasing, you will demand more of the normal good, and your demand for inferior good will reduce. Okay, so there is negative income elasticity of demand. If the income is increasing, you will demand less of the inferior goods, basically. So there is negative relationship between income and the demand for inferior goods. So that's why there is negative price elasticity of demand and there is negative income elasticity of demand. So this is the basic idea, that normal goods have positive relationship with income. So normal goods have positive relation with income. If the income is increasing, the demand for normal good will increase. But the price has negative relation with the normal goods demand. Okay, if the price is increasing, the demand for normal goods will decrease. Similarly, inferior good also has negative relationship with price, but they have negative relationship with income also. Okay, so this is the relationship of the normal goods with income and price, and inferior good with income and price. Now you can see that for the normal goods can be luxury goods, can be basic or necessity. So for them there is a positive relationship. That means if income is increasing, the demand for luxury good is also increasing. If income is increasing, the demand for the basic or necessity good is also increasing. But in case of inferior good, there is negative curve. That is, if the income is increasing, the demand for inferior good is decreasing. So if income is increasing, the demand for inferior good decreases. So the income and demand for inferior good have negative relationship. I hope this is very much clear that the income and the demand for inferior good have a negative relationship, while the income and the normal goods have a positive relationship. If income is increasing, the demand for normal goods will also increase. Okay, try to answer this question next. Let's see how many of you will be able to answer this question. So Giffen goods has dash demand curve usually for the normal goods as well as for the inferior goods. The demand curve is downward sloping with respect to price. Okay, here we have the price, here we have the price, and here we have the demand for normal goods, demand for inferior goods. They all have downward sloping demand curve, because if the prices are increasing, the demand will be decreasing. If prices are increasing, demand will be decreasing. But in case of Giffen goods, the demand curve is upward sloping. If the price is increasing, the demand of the Giffen good will increase. So for the Giffen good, the demand curve is upward sloping. And if the demand curve is upward sloping, that means with the increase in price, the demand of the Giffen good is also increasing. So that means price elasticity of demand is positive, as they have a positive or direct relationship. Okay, so this is the idea that the demand curve for Giffen good is upward sloping, which is breaking the law of demand, because the law of demand states that there is inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. If the price is increasing, quantity demanded must fall. If the price is falling, the quantity demanded must rise. So law of demand states that there is inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, which is not true in the case of Giffen good, because when the price is increasing, the quantity demanded is also increasing. So in case of Giffen good, the law of demand does not follow. Okay, so the Giffen good breaks the law of demand. Now in case of Giffen good, they are considered a special case of inferior goods, because just like the inferior good, Giffen good also have a negative relationship with income. If the income is increasing, you will buy less of the Giffen good. You will demand less of the Giffen good. So Giffen good is considered a kind of inferior good, because inferior good also have a negative relationship with income. Giffen good also has a negative relationship with income. Okay, but in case of Giffen good, the special thing is that only for the Giffen good there is positive relationship with price. Only in case of Giffen good they have positive relationship with price. Okay, now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Let's see now how many of you will be able to answer this question. Read the question very carefully and try to answer. So perfect competition is characterized by all of the following except. So in the perfect competition, there is well-informed buyers and sellers with respect to prices. So that is, there is perfect knowledge under the perfect competition. There is perfect knowledge with the buyers and sellers. Now marginal revenue is greater than price. That is incorrect, because in the perfect competition, the demand is equal to marginal revenue curve is equal to average revenue curve. Okay, the demand curve is also your marginal revenue curve and the average revenue curve. So here the price is equal to average revenue is equal to marginal revenue. So in case of the perfect competition, the marginal revenue is equal to the price. So this is wrong. Marginal revenue is not greater than price, it is equal to the price. No restriction on entry and exit of the firms. Normal profits is achieved in the long run. In the short run, in the perfect competition, you can have supernormal profits, you can have normal profits or losses. But in the long run, under the perfect competition, you can only have normal profits. So under the perfect competition, in long run, you can only have normal profits. So demand curve of perfect competition shows the highest elasticity. You can understand that this is the demand curve in perfect competition and this is perfectly elastic demand curve. This is perfectly elastic demand curve that is showing the highest level of elasticity as compared to the other markets. So this is also correct. So only incorrect statement is the B statement. So B is the answer here. You can see that all the firms, there are large number of buyers and sellers, they have the perfect knowledge, the MR. So here the AR is equal to MR is equal to price. Okay, and in the short run, you can see that in the short run, if your average revenue is greater than the average cost, that is per unit revenue is higher than the per unit cost, so you are making supernormal profits. If your average revenue is equal to average cost, that is your per unit of revenue is equal to per unit of cost, you are making normal profits. Okay, normal profits you are making, you are covering all the cost and such. If your average revenue is less than average cost, your average revenue is less than the average cost, so here you are making the losses because the per unit of revenue is less than per unit of cost, so you are bearing more cost, so here you are making the losses. Okay, so I hope this is correct. This is clear that in the short run you can have the supernormal profits, normal profits or losses. Okay, but in the long run, in the perfect competition, because the firms can enter the market or the firms can exit the market, so in the long run there is only the normal profits. Okay, so in long run there is only normal profits in the perfect competition. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Let's see how many of you are able to answer this. See, in the oligopoly market, you have a kinked demand curve. This is the demand curve, that is a kinked demand curve. Here you have the kink. So above the above part of the demand curve, this is considered elastic, and the lower part of the demand curve is considered inelastic, because in the above part, when firm A, let's say you are trying to increase the price. So if you are increasing the price, the other firms, they do not want to increase the price. First of all, oligopoly market is the market where there are only a few sellers, only a very few sellers. Let's say only 2 sellers, 3 sellers, 4 sellers. So there are very few sellers. Now the sellers are competing with each other. So if you are increasing your price, the other firms will not want to increase their price. If you are increasing the price, the other firms will not increase the price. So if you have increased the price, the demand is falling by a lot. There is huge decrease in demand. So if firm A increases the price, the other firms will not follow you, because if you are increasing the price, you will lose the market. The other firms will not follow suit. The upper part of the kinked demand curve is more elastic, that you can see the upper part of the kinked demand curve. So here, this is the kinked demand curve, that is upper part is more elastic, because if you are increasing the price, the other firms will not increase the price and your demand will fall by a lot. Your demand will fall by a lot. There is huge decrease in the demand with a slight increase in the price. So this is the upper part of the kinked demand curve is elastic. While in the lower part, if you see in the lower part of the kinked demand curve, if you are decreasing your price, if you are decreasing from the kinked, here the price is determined. If you are decreasing your price, your demand is increasing very slightly. The demand is increasing very slightly, because if you are decreasing your price, you can capture more and more consumers from the other sellers. So other sellers do not want to lose their customers, so other sellers will also decrease their price, because if you are decreasing your price, your demand will increase, you will capture the customers of other sellers, so other sellers do not want to lose the market, and that's why if you are decreasing the price, other sellers will also decrease their price, so the demand will not increase by much. Okay, so this is the idea, that if a firm cut its price to gain higher market share, to gain more customers, the other firms will also follow and decrease the prices. So with the decrease in prices, all together are decreasing their prices, so the demand will not increase by much, and that's why the lower part of the kinked demand curve is less elastic. So that means you do not want to increase the prices, because then your demand will decrease by a lot. You do not want to decrease the prices. You do not want to increase the prices, because then your demand will fall by a lot. You do not want to decrease the prices, because then your demand is not increasing by much. So your price will be determined at the kinked portion, whatever is your determined price, that is rigid. So kinked demand curve shows that the price of a firm is rigid. It is not flexible, it is rigid. You do not want to increase the price, you do not want to decrease the price. Kinked demand curve also shows that your decisions affect the action of the competitors. The competitors, they behave in a certain manner if you are taking certain decisions. Okay, so all the other options are correct, only the D was incorrect, because the kinked demand curve shows the rigid price. So your price is rigid here. You do not want to increase the price, because then your demand will fall by a lot. You do not want to decrease the price, because then you will only have a slight increase in demand. Got it? I hope this is very much clear. So these are the different competitions. In the perfect competition, large number of buyers and sellers, same product, homogeneous product that are perfect substitute of each other, free entry and exit, no control over prices, so the firms have no control over the prices. Monopolistic competition, large number of buyers and sellers, but they have differentiated products, like the soap market. So many of the sellers, Santoor, Lux, Dettol and so, but they have slightly differentiated products. Okay, that can be based on the advertisements that they are doing or the actual difference that they have in their products. Free entry and exit, some control over price, because you have a slightly different product. Oligopoly, few firms are there, homogeneous or differentiated products can be there, same product or differentiated product can be there. Limited entry is there in the oligopoly market, and limited by mutual interdependence. There is limited mutual interdependence. Monopoly only has one seller, unique product without any close substitutes. Okay, monopoly means only one seller, like the railways in our country. Only one seller is there, unique product without close substitutes, strong barriers to entry, and very large control over the price. Now coming to the 8th question, try to answer this question. Basically, in an imperfectly competitive firm. So in the perfect competition, the demand curve is horizontal. In the imperfect competition, the demand curve is downward sloping. So in an imperfect competition, like the monopolistic competition and such, the firm is producing a level of output where the marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. So that means there is equilibrium at this level, where the MR is equal to MC, where the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and the MC cuts the MR from below. The MC cuts the MR from below, so that is the equilibrium point. Now at this equilibrium point, basically, this is your demand curve or the average revenue curve that determines the price. Now this is your marginal revenue curve. So where the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, now at this point there is equilibrium, and at this point the price is determined through the average revenue curve. So this is your price. Now the average cost is higher. The average variable cost is higher than the average revenue or the price. Price is also your average revenue. Price is always equal to average revenue. So that means the question is saying that your average variable cost is higher than the average revenue, that is your price. So now what should happen? So the question is saying that your average variable cost is higher than the average revenue. See, average cost, that is the per unit cost is equal to average variable cost and average total cost. Total cost is the average fixed cost. So average total cost is equal to average variable cost and average fixed cost. Fixed cost is fixed, that you cannot decrease, but the variable cost is with the production. As you produce more of the goods, you have to bear more of the variable cost. So you can understand that the variable cost is higher than the average revenue. That means you have to bear more of the variable cost as compared to average revenue. So here the firm will want to shut down. Okay, so this is the idea, that in the imperfectly competitive firm, even if you are at the equilibrium, you might have the condition where the price or the average revenue is lower than the average variable cost. You are not even able to cover your labor cost. Variable cost means the cost of labor, the cost of the raw materials. So you are not able to cover the cost of the labor also. So you have to shut down. Okay, so average revenue is equal to, let's say, average total cost. Total cost is the average variable cost and average fixed cost. So until and unless you are covering the fixed cost, so that is fine. If your average revenue is not able to cover your variable cost, so that becomes the problem, because the variable cost is the cost of labor that you have to cover up. Okay, so whenever the average revenue is equal to average variable cost, so this is known as the shutdown point, because here the average revenue is only covering up the variable cost. Okay, and the average revenue can fall further down. So this is the shutdown point, that this is the point where the firm should think of shutting down. If the average revenue is less than the average variable cost, so this is like you have to shut down. You cannot continue your business because you are not even able to pay your laborers. Okay, so this is the idea. So shutdown point is where the AR is equal to AVC, and you have to shut down if the AR is less than AVC. So now the GNP at market price can be converted into NDP at FC. Through what? So GNP at the market price can be converted into NDP at FC. How? So gross to net. If you want to go from gross to net, you have to deduct the depreciation. If you want to go from national to domestic, you have to deduct the net factor income from abroad. If you want to go from the market price to factor cost, you have to deduct the indirect taxes and add the subsidies. So this is correct here. GNP at MP, from the GNP at MP, if you want to go to NDP at FC, deduct the depreciation, deduct the indirect taxes, add subsidies, deduct the net factor income from abroad. Okay, so this is the C is the answer here. So this is the idea, that if you have to go from the national to domestic, deduct the net factor income from abroad. Okay, and if you want to go from the gross to net, deduct the depreciation. If you want to go from market price to factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies. So these are the formulas. Okay, now the last question in front of you is this. Try to answer this question. So you have to find the national income, that is NNP at FC. Now here in the question, the compensation of employees is given, the rent, profit, these things are given. So you can see that this is the income method. You have to use the income method to calculate the national income. So through the income method, you calculate the NDP at FC. So you have compensation of employees 6,000. You have rent, that is 400. You have profit, that is 800. So dividend is a part of profit. So you do not have to add dividend separately because that is already included in the profit. So profit is 800. Now next one is interest, that is 500. Mixed income is not given. So this all is 7,700, right? So 7,700 is the NDP at FC. Now from the NDP at FC, you have to go to the NNP at FC. So from the domestic to national. So 7700 from domestic to national, add the net factor income from abroad. So here net factor income to abroad is given. To abroad is given as negative 80. So if we want to see net factor income from abroad, that will be positive 80. Net factor income from abroad will be positive 80. If net factor income to abroad is negative 80, that means net factor income from abroad will be positive 80. So add 80 here. So 7,700 plus 80 will be 7,780. Okay, so this is the answer here. Basically, the question was given, you had to use the income method to calculate the NTP at FC. So you have the rent, interest, you have the profit, and you have the compensation of employees. So you adding all this up, you were getting 7,700. In this NTP at FC, add the net factor income from abroad to get to the NNP at FC. Okay, so here if you add the net factor income from abroad, to abroad is given, that is in negative 80. So from abroad will be positive 80. So add the positive 80, you will get 7,780 as the answer. Now let's move to the homework question. But before going to the homework question, see, let me show you that if you want to know more about the NPS exam, first of all, you can go to the website edutap.in, and in the edutap.in, like you can go to the website edutap.in, just type edutap.in. You can go to the courses section, and in the courses section, you can go to the NPS course. You can go to the NPS course. Okay, NPS grade A and grade B complete course is provided. So you can get the complete course. You can see that there is a huge hefty discount that is going on. So at a very cheap price, you can get the phase 1 and phase 2 complete course. If you want to get only the phase 2 course, that you only want to, like you are very good in the phase 1 subjects, you only want to prepare more for the phase 2. So for that, there is the phase 2 course separately available. In that also there is a hefty discount that is going on. Okay, so you just have to go to the edutap.in. If you type edutap.in, you will be able to go to the website, and in the website, if you go to the courses, you will be able to see the NPS courses that are available and the discount that is going on also. What all you will be getting, you can see here. Okay, so this is the idea. And if you want to get the help from the team, you can also, like if you want to get the help from the team, you can also mail us at hello@edutap.co.in. Okay, so you can also mail us at here, hello@edutap.co.in, if you want any other help. Okay, so this is the question, that if real GDP is 400, nominal GDP is 450, calculate the GDP deflator. So I hope you know the formula of GDP deflator and you will be able to answer this question. So this is a homework question. You have to comment down below that what is the right answer of this question. So comment down below that what is the right answer of this question, and we will discuss this question, we will discuss the answer of this question in the next session. Okay, so in the next session, that is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. you will have another session of the MCQs of economics, and in that session we will discuss this homework question also. So do tell me in the comment section, that how many marks you have got, how much marks you have got, so that you understand that where you are making the mistakes, and if there is any concern that okay, I am giving the wrong answer of this particular question, that also you can answer, like that how you can correct that. Okay, so do tell me in the comment section that how much score you have got, as well as do give the right answer of the homework question. So now this is it for today's session. I hope you liked the session. I was trying to give you some additional information, some additional details also. I hope you liked the session. So this is it from my side for today. We will meet tomorrow. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. See you in the next session. Thank you everyone.